Hi there and welcome to this week's Sunday Girl. I have such a special treat for you. Allow me to read this quote. She is an original thinker, a designer, not an adopter, a couturier with a bohemian heart. Everybody, please welcome fashion designer and my friend, Delphine Grandjouan. Delphine, thank you for joining all of us in Sunday Girl.
Thank you, Orla. It's a pleasure.
So I'm going to head straight into it and I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself. So we know you as a fashion designer. We know your beautiful work, your beautiful bridal collections, your beautiful women's wear collections. And you've been designing, as you told me, since 1999, which, you know, it seems like such a long time ago. It's actually the year my daughter Zoe was born, so a special year. So the last year of the last millennia.
True.
You know, and so tell us a little bit about Delphine before she set up the design business.
Well, I was a student. I was a philosophy student, and I came to Ireland on a whim, really.
So where were you born?
I was born in France, in Brittany, in Nantes, and my family was quite artistic. You know, I have a great uncle who was a lover of Isadora Duncan. So he was a painter. He was very idealistic. He was a communist. He went with her to the USSR, you know, after the revolution over there. And so he lived from his means, you know, like he was a rich guy, but he
a rich communist.
With a
we love them, those champagne socialists. We love those.
With a great social conscience. So, but he was banned. Like he used to do, political controversy, you know, like illustration, you know, very critical of the government. He got banned and he went over to her and said, please home me for a while. She had a school in Germany, so he did lots of paintings and sketches, and my great-grandmother worked with him, and she used to do tapestries of some paintings he did of hers. Some I have at home on the other side of the house, you know, beautiful screen. And so, I had a strong female heritage in craft, like my mom, that you know, was sewing. My grannies were knitting, crochet, patchwork, everything, you know. So there was this pull to study, and then there was this pull. I did a lot of dance as a youngster. That was the thing that really kept me alive. And so I've always loved working artistically and also looking inside to know what I want to do. And through dance, I could do that. And then when I came here, I just started drawing. When we bought this house, you know, I was alone in this big house, derelict house, you know, I was painting. And then I went back to France and my mother said, you know what? While you were gone, I started this thing called silk painting. So you should come to a lesson. So I went to this class and I loved it. Brought back all the stuff to do it, and after a few years, you know, I had done the Riverdance, a green velvet devore for the main dancers' outfits and everything, and started to make clothes with those fabrics.
I first met you, I think it was out in Cafe Indigo in Kenmare. And I had a wonderful client then, Christopher McDermott. Now we're really going back in time, but he had a vision and he had opened this beautiful establishment, and he loved art and he loved design, and he decided, he said, Orla, he was from South Africa and Sweden. So Christopher, if you're watching, forgive me if I get this wrong, but he said, Orla, let's run a fashion design competition, and the winner will design the uniforms for the restaurant. And that's the first time I met you. And actually Celia Holman Lee did the fashion show, and my God, aren't we going back in time? I remember that, and you came in and you'd longer hair and you were full of life, and I mean, you won the competition by streets and miles, and that was the first time I met you. And I was, oh my gosh, I was so struck by you, by your energy.
Because I never studied fashion, so it was all kind of, you know, very much my own kind of.
And rolling it back, why did you come to Ireland in the first place?
I came here on a trip, and I was studying philosophy in Nice, but I was depressed. I mean, you know, studying
like
philosophy,
all great philosophers.
and then you'd think living in Nice was great, but you know, it's great for a holiday. It's not such a great place to live in, especially as a young person. French culture isn't that fun. Like
so you came to Ireland for the fun.
Yes, yes,
and I'd say it delivered.
And you think, you know, like bad weather and everything, but you know, you can't make up for the people. You know, like you better have nice people and bad weather than good people, and then good weather and people who just don't relate.
Don't have fun.
Like Irish people are just so much more welcoming. So yeah, I had my big first article, so in 1999 with Constance, which you quoted, and well then I started to do hand-painted evening wear, and I got into the Paris shows, you know, Fashion Week, with those, the trade shows. I did that for 2 years, and at some stage somebody said, yeah, the war in Iraq happened, so the market for evening wear kind of plummeted because it was all the US and the Middle East, and they were very shaken up, and you know, the dollar kind of went down. I mean, the whole world situation just took the bottom out of evening wear for a while, and somebody said, you know, but why don't you do bridal? Because you do beautiful evening gowns, you just do them in white. You know, it's much less complicated than spending hours painting, fixing. I mean, that was so labor intensive, it just wasn't realistic anyway. So I started bridal, and then Mike Bunn did a beautiful bridal shoot, you know, with the snow landscape, and Constance ran it. It was the beginning of the Life magazine at that stage in 2004 for New Year, and that really started the bridal market at home. Yes. So I didn't have to travel to Paris anymore. It was great. And bridal was, you know, just nicer as well, because like brides are brilliant customers. You know, they're committed, they have a time frame which is not so quick. You know, you have time to prepare, you can go in depth. They love a good train. I mean, you know, if you're doing evening wear, people, you know, you'll do beautiful samples and people say, yes, but can you take off the bottom? You know, all the beautiful features nearly you have to be very lucky. I've had just amazing brides. Like, you know, you would say, yeah, really, over the number of years and number of brides like that I have done in the at least 300 brides or something. And I think it's a special process what I offer. And I'm hard to find. So the people who do find me in the end, you know, they tend to be ready for it and enjoy the process. And because they're bias cut, you do a lot of work on the client themselves. So there's few phases, and every time you have to see them, it's not like 10 fittings, it's maybe 3 fittings, but it's still done on them, so they have a lot of input. You know, like if we say we're doing a lace back, they don't have to decide what it's going to be like straight away. As we go phase by phase, that makes sense and that looks nice. And so they really are in control of their own dress, because they see it becoming on them, and they see it, you know, evolving, and they make the decisions. Women know themselves, you know, they usually know what's right for them. You have to be humble and listen to your client, because they have been living with those bodies. They know what suits them, they know what makes them feel good. So even if sometimes you have to push their growth edge a little bit, you know, but still you listen, because they have their inner wisdom. And it's them who are going to wear it at the end of the day. You know, it's not like the ego trip of the designer who wants to, you know, make an advertisement for themselves in the end. You know, it's this female collaboration is really very immersive.
And where do you get the inspiration? Because I know you produce collections every year. And well, you know, I know you work on them for months.
Tend to evolve, you know, from one collection to the next. You see what people like. And also, you know, sometimes the design, you know, you just, that was lovely done this way, but with a different sleeve or with a different train, and so you know, they just evolve organically. So
And what about trends? When I'm looking at, let's say, the lace ones here, and I know when Kate Middleton got married,
Yes.
and you know, suddenly we saw lace, and
Yes.
you know, I think that probably introduced, because brides, like all of us, are influenced by fashion and by trends.
true.
Did that
Lace,
have an impact?
yeah, even like my lace manufacturers in France, whom I love, northern France, magicians of lace, you know, they said like the market just transformed after that wedding. Like they were
Isn't that amazing
so
as
proud.
well, the
Yeah, because they had
influence?
some of their lace had been embroidered on her dress, so they were just super happy. So it is special. And then there was, you were saying in terms of trends, you know, these type of things. That's when I won my Bridal Designer titles. It was with designs like that, and that was the Kate Moss wedding. You know,
Ah, I
nobody
remember.
dared
Very
wear them
bohemian,
before.
I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, very boho.
And then people started to buy them, but I did things like that, you know, well
First,
before.
you did them first.
Well, it's true.
There is the bridal, I think that you're probably best known for, but you also have a women's wear collection. Looking at it here in the studio. But very beautiful. And will you be continuing that going forward? Have you looked that far into the future?
Well, I'm not going to continue it as, like, it's all made to measure anyway. So, you know, it's kind of, yes, if people want it, it's there. But I'm not going to maybe go all out and do collections in that area. It's going to be more made to measure.
What does
You know,
Delphine do in her off days when she's not busily creating and designing?
Well, I study, you know,
Okay.
self-development and psychology, and that's my area of interest. I would say I probably have existential preoccupations. You know, so yeah, personal search and, you know, and also nature. Try to, you know, take time.
Yeah, to go walking, and you mentioned that you go swimming.
I love swimming. And now
So what advice would you offer a young designer now entering the business?
I would say don't take no for an answer, because often the people who reject you, they're not there anymore. You know, like I always used to think, you know, but I want to do this. I'll still be there when they're gone. And I'm still there. And a lot of the people who said no to me are gone. You know, and I'd say follow your own inspiration. You know, I know the prices I want. I always want them with designs that were, you know, from my heart, not just saying, okay, well, the trend is this, and what sells is that, and blah, blah, blah. You know, just to say, what do I want to do? You know, what's my heart's desire? And, you know, you do make also the pieces that are good to sell, but also do the pieces that you want to do, you know, because they end up being what defines you.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. And to stay at it and to believe
Yeah,
in
stay in
yourself.
power, I think, you know, just to say, you know, take the rough with the smooth, and maybe just watch your costs, you know, I mean, stay light in your structure, because it means you can weather the ups and downs.
Okay, that's what works.
You know.
Delphine, thank you for joining all of us on Sunday Girl.
Thank
you for
you.
sharing your personal story and your business success story. And I know all of us wish you like continued success and so much happiness, and that you'll continue making so many women happy into the future. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
everyone, we both wish you a wonderful week.
Bye. You do a lot of yoga? Look at this.
I skateboard a lot though.
He does backflips. He'll do a backflip before we leave, a genuine backflip.
Yeah, okay, let's play that.